in Bleach. SwagKage uploaded a video doing just that, ranking all the fights. Every fight in the big three ranked from worst to best. Wow. He actually made one. 6 hours. This is a 6 hour video. I'm not watching all 6 hours in the stream. But I might. I don't know. I don't know. It'll be too long of a stream, I think. But damn, 6 hours, bro. This is 9 o'clock. It's 9 o'clock at night. It's 9 o'clock at night. There is no way I can finish this video in one day. What the swag? I'm not gonna lie, bro. You gonna have to fight me, bro, for this. You gonna fight me for this, bro. Pull out Mangekyo Sharingan, and I'll pull out. Okay. My stand ability. Okay. Don't play with me. 6 hours.
If you really want, you got a bone to pick with Naruto or something, I guess you could split this up into 4 fights: Guy versus himself, Neji versus himself, etc., etc. And in that case, Naruto goes from simply receiving the worst fight in the Big 3 award to the worst 4 fights in the Big 3 award.
The worst 4.
Categorize it. This is really bad. Too long.
The fact that this video doesn't have closed captions is... I'm not happy about that. I'm not. I'll be real with you, gang. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan.
Simply not good. Even though I'm not going to like any of the fights I've got to talk about for some time to come now, none of them feel as pointless and hollow as this one does. You can just straight up skip this. Your viewing or reading experience won't change if you do. Like, I get it. Guy, Lee, Tenten, and Neji needed to be preoccupied at this point in the story. Otherwise, I guess Sasori and Deidara would have gone down too easy, but I would have preferred if, like, I don't know, removing the tags triggered a genjutsu or something like that. Or, you know, if they weren't even there, if this is the type of stuff Kishimoto was going to have to do, anything but this. Number 369.
Hey.
Versus Mr. 3 and Miss Golden Week. I think this placement might end up getting me in some hot water, but I'm not sure. I can't really tell if it has fans or not, but what I
can't tell
is I don't think anybody's got this in their top 10 One Piece fights ever. And if you do, I'm sorry.
I don't watch One Piece, so I can't.
I do like the setup of Little Garden and think that the Doragi story is pretty engaging, but I really could have done without this Mr. 3 Miss Golden Week fight. Now, the reason I have it second to last isn't because I think it does anything particularly offensive. I don't have any serious story issues with it or anything of the sort. I just find it really, really boring. By the end of the fight, I felt like the story was just crawling along. I was so
That's One Piece.
Done and move on to Alabasta. And it's not even that long. Especially not in the manga, which is where I was first exposed to it. But it felt pretty long to me. I just thought Mr. 3 and Miss Golden Week were so...
Whoa, what's up, bro?
While way later in the story, Mr. 3 got to do some stuff that changed my mind about him, here I just couldn't get down
Mr. 3?
Maybe I'd feel better about this fight if it happened in Alabasta and not on Little Garden, but I get why Oda didn't do that, so I don't really know how to fix my issues with it. What I do know is I've read this part of the story 3 times and watched it once. And
3?
Every single time, it's been a bottleneck for the experience. Seeing as whenever I get to it, I have to fight the urge to drop the series completely, and this video is supposed
every
to be
time?
an honest reflection of my thoughts, I think this is where the fight has to go. Number 368, Kabuto and Team 7 versus Oboro. Now I think we're back into agreeable territory. I don't think there's a soul alive that likes this one. I don't have much to say about it either.
I mean, Oboro sucked, so...
Training exams doesn't need it. Just a blemish on an otherwise great section of the story.
Like, I don't know. Nobody really cared about Oboro.
367. Mifune versus Hanzo.
Oh.
This is another one
yeah.
where I'm just sitting here. Like,
yeah, I can see that.
What do you even want me to say?
I didn't care for Mifune.
I guess to reach for something of substance to say, this is pretty disappointing because you'd think, based on all that's said about Hanzo during the Pain arc, that he'd be like a big deal. But he loses a one-on-one fight that takes less than a chapter to someone we know nothing about. That sucks.
That's a bad way to go. I'm not gonna lie.
66. Darui and Team 10 versus
Oh.
Kinkaku and Senku.
Really?
I'm an Inoshika-cho fan.
What?
But nobody cares about Kinkaku and Kinkaku. This is a pretty cool team up too, so it's a shame that this fight kills the pace.
He's hating, bro.
When the story can't
I'm low-key trolling, I'm not gonna lie.
Too drawn out, too boring, and what it adds to the story by existing is negligible in comparison.
My friend, rest in peace, your friend.
Number 365.
Days in the year. Choji? What did Choji do?
Dosu.
Oh,
Yes, I'm seeing what you guys are seeing.
Never mind.
This is the second fight from the Chunin exams, and the fifth fight from Naruto, not just in the bottom 10, but the bottom 6. I don't
Yeah,
get
but
the
like-
impression that I don't like the Chunin exams because
but like this fight was a
I
non
certainly
sequitur
don't
though.
want to get the impression that I don't like Naruto because I do.
I feel like you can't be really. I can't be upset at this because like, for me, at this point in the series, I didn't really care. I didn't really care about Choji like that. Like,
But where else am I supposed to put this? I guess it's
y'all be in his comments, I'll be in his guts. Okay.
fun. It
Are you my microbiome? Is my microbiome in the chat? Yo, shout out microbiome. I fuck with y'all, dude. I fuck with y'all, dude. I fuck with y'all taking care of me in there, bro. Tell you shit.
Too much time, and it's not supposed to be a great fight. But I'm not gonna say it's good because it's supposed to be bad. No, it gets to sit right here at the bottom. Number 364.
Uh-huh.
Zoro versus.
Wait, no. You can't just put Zoro at the bottom. Like, you can't put any Zoro fight at the bottom. What fight is this? I'm low key just saying shit. I'm not gonna lie.
Pika.
Who the fuck is Pika? I haven't watched One Piece. I don't know.
This is like the embodiment of the pacing issues in Dressrosa. This fight starts around chapter 740 and concludes around 780. Now, Dressrosa shifts focus from event to event pretty frequently, so it's not like this is all we see for 40 chapters, but there's so much running around, it takes so long to finally wrap up, that by the end, I would not say I was still immersed. It has a cool finish. Zoro looks awesome as usual, so I'm not going to put it at the
He does look
bottom,
awesome.
but I wouldn't call myself a fan.
That's fair. Zoro does look awesome though.
Number 363, Zoro.
Double Zoro? Oh, he bugging. Oh, he tweaking. Oh, he tweaking.
Versus the Meow Band brothers.
Who the fuck is that? The Meow Band brothers? That's how I know I'm not. It's not how you know I'm not a One Piece fan. Because who the fuck is the Meow Band? I'm generally what are these names, dog?
I'm going to
Oda,
use this as
what
an
are you
opportunity to say something very important. Let it be known, I am a Zoro guy. I
Yeah, you put double Zoro down here. It's not looking great as a Zoro fan.
love Zoro. He's my favorite Straw Hat, and I am not putting these fights in the bottom 10 because I don't like him.
That's real.
Said,
My boy.
I also don't think this one is very good. I don't really like any of the Crow stuff. I think that Syrup Village is probably the worst chunk of East Blue. And as far as the fights go, this is the low point of that low point. I doubt by doing this, I'll be summoning a bunch of Zoro versus Butchie and Siam shooters in the comments. So
Zoro versus Butchie and what are these? I don't know, man. One Piece is one of those shows where it's like when I hear like a random name of a random villain, I'm like, Oda. That's the name you decided to go with? Come on, bro. The Meow Bin, what? Me, what? This is why I haven't watched One Piece yet. Said, what's up? I can't say your name because I think that's like Russian or um, some European language.
So I think we can safely move on without
Yes?
much elaboration. Number
362.
362. Sanji
Ooh.
versus Absalom. Surprised that this one
Absalom.
could get to Thriller Bark, honestly. I don't think I have to defend this one. Nobody likes this arc, and this is the worst fight out of the whole thing. Beyond being really boring, it's a textbook example of right message, wrong messenger. Somebody definitely needed to put a stop to Absalom. He's like the freakiest, weirdest dude in all of One Piece, which is fine for a villain. But Sanji being the one to do it is King Von once said gun violence type of situation.
Right, like, okay, I see what you're saying. Because, like, Sanji doing it, like, that's odd. I don't know. I don't know. I don't have much to say.
Number 361.
Ooh.
Ovaida versus Parduo.
This is Bleach, right?
Alright, about time Bleach showed up.
Finally. I heard those names are like, that sounds Bleach-esque.
On the list, and this is definitely Bleach's equivalent of Choji versus Dosu, two of the sideliest side characters going at it in the midst of many far more interesting fights and plot developments. There's one scene I remember thinking was kind of funny, but other than that, I don't have a lot to say about this fight. If not for the fact that I was making a list, I would have forgotten that this one even happened.
That's real.
Number 360.
Hey, that's
Gaara versus
Gaara.
Dosu.
Oh,
This Dosu guy can't get
yeah.
a break, but this fight
Yeah,
is
Dosu sucks though. Like, so.
attack 1, so there's not a lot I can do for him here. In its defense, this fight foreshadows Gaara's Shukaku transformation, which is really important for later. That's the only reason it made it this high.
Mm-hmm.
Other than
That's fair.
that, I mean, I'm hard pressed to even call this a fight.
Right, it was like one attack.
Number 359, Usopp, Nami, and the Usopp Pirates versus
Usopp Pirates?
Senku.
I'm sorry.
It's not really fair to put up.
I'm sorry. Hold on. Usopp has his own pirates. Wait. Okay. I'm so behind. I have no idea what the fuck is going on. Oh my goodness. I love that. I love it though, because he said he was going to spoil some of the stuff. So I was like, it's fine. It's One Piece, bro. It's way too long of a show for me to even try to catch up. I'm not even.
A fight like this in the same list as Luffy versus Kaido or whatever, but this is ranking every fight in the big three, so I got it. It's hardly a fight, I think it's lucky it got this high, honestly, but to its credit, even though I don't like Surf Village that much, Django is one of my favorite things about it, and the Usopp Pirates showing up to help is really, really cute, but it's still a pretty weak fight, and considering what it's up against, I can't find it in myself to bump it up. This is as high as it was ever gonna go.
Okay.
Number 358.
Damn.
Nami versus Khalifa. Before I get into this one, I will
Khalifa.
spoil the list a little bit so that you guys don't get the wrong idea. It's gonna be a while before I talk about another fight from any Slavi again. And I mean like a long time.
Damn, bro.
I love any Slavi. It's my favorite part of the series, but I have a bone to pick with this fight specifically. It, and you know what, while I'm at it, Khalifa as a character are blemishes on an otherwise perfect run of chapters.
Oh.
Like, I really
Damn.
wish Oda could just be normal, but he's such a
Just
freaky
be
dude,
nor-
and he can't help himself when it comes to his female characters. And I just really wish he could have taken a vacation from the freaky stuff, just for Water 7 and any slap.
He wasn't gonna do it.
Never gonna happen.
He wasn't gonna do
That's
it.
what we're talking about. So instead of making the one single woman in Cypher Pool a normal character, he decided to make her run around accusing everybody who talks to her of sexually harassing her. Then he gave her a soap-based devil fruit, because of course he did, and decided that in the middle of her fight with Nami, for no reason, she needed to be naked, taking a bath. And then you got Nami looking at her like, oh wow, she's so sexy. I wish I had a secretary like that. It's all really, really
What?
weird. I guess it's a
Why would
joke, right? But I don't think it's funny. It just makes me
It's
uncomfortable.
not funny.
And it sucks because I love getting to see Nami fight. I don't think she needs to fight every arc or anything, but generally Oda knows what he's doing when he gives her work. They're typically well implemented, engaging, and don't mess with the pace too much. So why couldn't her fight in any Slavi be normal? And even aside from all the weird stuff with Khalifa, I think that this is Nami's worst fight regardless. There's
Damn.
not nearly as much going on as there usually is. I'll admit that there's more to it than a lot of the fights I have placed above it, but they don't have any of the weird problems that this one does, and it's getting a lot of points deducted for that.
Fair.
Number 357, Whitebird versus Shura. This
Bleach?
is a fight between two randoms that
Never
takes
mind.
like 30 seconds.
That's One
It serves
Piece.
the story a bit, and Whitebird's cool, I guess. So I feel okay about putting it this high. Number
High.
356, Pedro versus Tamago. This
Tamago.
is the same situation as last time. These are two nobodies, and the fight isn't that long. But this time, the choreography is significantly better. There are actually some pretty cool exchanges here. Nothing mind-bending or anything, but enough to get it over the last one.
Okay.
Number 355, Luffy, Sanji, and Usopp
Uh-oh.
versus
Uh-oh.
Satori. I just think this was boring, and it takes way too long. I think the best stuff in Skypiea is all NL adjacent. I don't think anybody is going to disagree with that. But as for all the priests, I could take them or leave them. This is definitely my least favorite encounter between any of the priests and any of the Straw Hats. And I think the arc would be better if you found a way to take this out. Number 354.
Sheesh.
Naruto, Shikamaru,
Ooh.
and
A
Choji
Naruto fight.
versus Sai. As a scene,
I'm not mad at
fun
that.
character introduction
I'm not
for
mad at
Sai,
that.
And it's neat being able to see his Super Beast scroll juice.
I'm not mad at that. I get it. I get it. I feel like Sai doesn't get used properly, in my opinion. I don't think Sai gets used properly in Naruto enough.
But as a fight, I mean,
He's actually cool when he's older. He's pretty cool. I like him when he's like the older version of
This
him.
is way too short. Definitely one of the weakest in Naruto's catalog. Not for
Yeah.
being, like offensive. Like
It's not a bad fight. It's just like compared to other fights. Like let's be real, Sai's ability is kind of basic and it's not really that action packed. He's not doing much. He's a mental guy, you know.
versus team guy,
Or a
but
creep.
for feeling too incomplete to be rated any higher than this. Number 353, Ganju versus Yumichika.
Okay.
This is similar to Zoro versus Pika in the sense that there's a whole lot of running around, a lot of one dude chasing another dude. But this one's
I remember this fight.
long or poorly paced, so I've got it quite a bit higher. Like with the last one, I don't find this one like offensive or anything.
I think this fight was fun. This fight was fun. It was fun enough. I think for who the characters were, I think it was fun enough. It was interesting watching them do it.
I don't hate it, but I mean, like what am I gonna do? Put it higher than
There's
this?
nothing high. You can't put it higher, to be honest.
Number 352, Kenpachi versus
Who?
Kiriko.
Oh.
I don't even know if it's fair to call this a fight. Here we just have Kenpachi one-shotting a total nobody, and it looks so cool that it managed to make it past all these other fights down here. Now keep in mind we're at number 352 out of 370, so I'm not saying this is like great or anything, it's definitely not. But you know, I'm just surprised that it's not at the very bottom, all things considered.
He cut him up.
Number
One hit.
351, Luffy versus Laboon. This only made it this high because
Labubu.
Laboon's really cute, and his exchange with the Straw Hats is amazing. One of the most memorable parts of the series, especially the early series. But the actual fight here is, I mean, aside from like Gaara versus Dosu, action-wise, this has to be the worst one so far, right? So though this one gets saved a little bit, I mean, it's still in the bottom 20, but it gets saved a little bit by the super extreme adorable cuteness. Number 350, Chopper versus Gadatsu.
Chopper, no.
Generally speaking, I'm not much of a fan of the side fights in Skypiea, but I think this one is a little bit better than the Ordeal of Balls. It kind of has the opposite problem in that it's too short to be particularly memorable, but I'll give it the edge over some of these other ones because I like Chopper and it's nice getting to see him fight. Number 349,
It is Chopper.
Usopp and Chopper versus Dosun and Daruma. Gotta say, I'm surprised that it took Fishman Island this long to show up. This is probably my least favorite out of all the Fishman Island fights. It's hovering somewhere around here on the list for sure.
Midori.
If you want, you can split this fight into two because I know it starts off as Usopp versus Daruma and Chopper versus Dosun, but since they eventually converge into the same fight, I decided to just combine them. And either way, neither of them were going to make it any higher than this. Number 348, Frankie versus
Frankie!
Toros. This happens at the same point in the story as the last one, with the same narrative context and level of importance. I'll give this one the edge for the big laser that Frankie shoots. Number 347, Brook versus Zio. This is the same deal as the last two, and I like Brook's Song of Scratches Blizzard Slice more than I like Frankie's laser. Number 346, Uryu and Orihime versus Chirobo. This is another mostly inconsequential fight from the Soul Society arc. It's cool getting to see these two use their powers against somebody more threatening than the Hollows running through Karakura Town. But this Chirobo guy's still a random. He's nobody's favorite character, and the fight's not particularly flashy. Number 345, Sanji versus Oven. I don't know if I should even count this fight on the list because it's literally just one attack. But it's a cool enough character moment for Sanji that it made it this high. So I guess I'm fine with it. If you don't think this should be here, I get it. But I think I have to include it because this isn't going to be the only fight that ends in one attack on this list. Number 344, Ikaku versus Mo. So,
Momo.
I guess now it's time for me to admit that I'm not very fond of the full Bring arc. I don't hate it or anything, but it's Bleach's low point for sure.
Yeah,
now,
I can see that.
there are some fights from this arc that I think are pretty good, but all the side ones where the weaker members of Execution fight against the Gote 13, I could totally live without. They're all really short and inconsequential and feature some of the weaker choreography in the series. I hate to spoil what's coming up next, but in my opinion, you can order these fights however you want. I got this one at the bottom of the batch because outside of Kiriko, Mo's probably my least favorite member of Execution. Number 343, Renji versus Jackie. Very similar thoughts here as last time. I guess I like Jackie more than Mo, and there's a little bit more going on here than before. Still close to the bottom of Bleach's catalog, and like I said, if you made me switch this with the last one, I wouldn't really care. Number 342, Rukia versus Riruka. There are a couple reasons this is higher than the last two. The first being that I'm a fan of both characters. Riruka is one of my favorite members of Execution, and I'm a big Rukia fan too. Riruka's backstory is kind of nice too, I guess, but the actual fight part of the fight, it's not good. I'd say it's worse than Renji versus Jackie, so again, if you ask me to put this behind the last two, I wouldn't really fight you on it. I don't have strong feelings either way. Number 341, Toshiro versus Yukio. This is the last of the full Bring arc fights we'll be talking about for quite a while, and I feel pretty comfortable putting it at the top of this batch of 4. Yukio is another one of my favorite Execution members, and I'll just say I'm a Toshiro fan for right now. We'll get into my complicated feelings about him later on.
Isn't Toshiro like...
powers that Yukio's got going on lead to some pretty cool visuals, but for the most part, the structure, choreography, and so on aren't really any better here than the last 3 fights we talked about.
Okay.
Number 340, Ichigo.
Ooh.
Versus
It's the first Ichigo one.
Gotcha. Ichigo versus Gotcha. Like the last few, this one's really short and mostly inconsequential, but I actually think the choreography here is better than any of the
this fight.
fights we've talked
I've seen
about
this one.
so far. And I can also appreciate the way that this fight sets up the character dynamic present between these two going forward. I'd appreciate it more, and by extension, probably move this fight up a little bit if Ganju ended up mattering, like, at all, but he fades into obscurity pretty shortly after his introduction. I still appreciate this fight for the purpose.
He could have definitely he could have stayed around for sure.
It's pretty fun, but there's no way I can move it up at all. Number 339, Ichigo and Kon versus the Millipede Hollow. This is another really short one, and I think I'm doing it a favor by even putting it this high. But I don't know, man. I like Kon a lot, and I think this mini arc is a lot of fun.
Okay.
Number 338. Sai, Konkoro, and Aoi versus Sasori, Deidara, and Shin.
Oh, this long, big ass fight.
In my video ranking every Naruto fight, I think I'm okay with this fight being as high because, unlike with a lot of fights in the war arc, there's some semblance of stakes here. It's fairly early, and it features minor enough characters that Kishimoto tricked me into believing that some of them could actually die. They didn't, and they continue to not die in fights that take place later in the arc. But some of these fights are vessels for minor, cool character movement. It's nice seeing Konkoro get his get back on Sasori and Deidara, and Sai, shockingly, despite being nobody's favorite character, gets a couple of...
Yo, chill, bro. Chill on Sai, man.
We're still not in, like, good territory, but we're working our way. So we're still, despite being nobody's favorite character, gets a couple of cool moments here. So we're still not in, like, good territory, but we're working our way up the list, for sure. Number 337, Kamakiri versus NL.
And now.
Here we've got another pretty short one, so I can't put it very high, but I think it's effective at what it seeks to do. I like NL a lot, and this fight, if you can call it that, makes him look really cool and really threatening. It's way too short to make a bigger dent in this list, but for what it is, I think it's fine. Number 336, Robin versus Yama. I don't want to repeat myself too much here, but this is another situation where the fight's way too short to go any higher than this. Choreography here is pretty weak too, especially compared to most of the stuff above it, but like how the last one made L look really cool, I think this fight does a great job making Robin look really cool, especially at the end. That's enough for me to put it over the last 34 fights because I'm a big Nico Robin fan. And that was especially true at this point in the series when she still felt like one of the big dogs of the Straw Hats. Later on, she gets relegated to like the mid-tier of the crew in terms of power. But a fight like this really makes her seem strong. It helps pay off all the build-up that she and Croc got leading up to Alabasta. And it helped me delude myself into actually believing that for the foreseeable future, she'd be hanging out not at the top of the crew's power level with Luffy, but around that Zoro-Sanji level right beneath him. So this fight gets some credit for reminding me of more hopeful days before my dreams were crushed into tiny little pieces.
You're such a fan.
335, Zoro versus Wolf. This is another one of the short, minor Skypiea fights, and I think I'm going to say that this is the best of the bunch just because I like Zoro a lot. Like I said, he's my favorite Straw Hat, and I like to see him beat people up. Number 334, Luffy versus Moji and Richie. I really want to put this higher because this has that classic One Piece charm to it, and as one of the earliest fights in the series, it really helps set Luffy up as a powerhouse. This is a good way to establish basically from the very beginning of the story that Luffy generally won't be wasting his time with grunts going forward. It's also pretty satisfying seeing Luffy take these guys out. The way it's drawn in the manga and animated in the anime really sells how much more powerful Luffy is than these guys. But having said all of that, once again, this fight is really, really short. Number 333.
Hey.
Konkoro versus Misumi.
Okay.
I gotta admit, for Kakuro's first fight, it does a pretty good job conveying his abilities and his general level of power. He really stunts on this dude. This is one of like 2 or 3 times in the whole series that Kankuro gets caught looking kind of cool. But it's Kankuro.
But it's still Kankuro though, so.
Really care. And I mean, as for this Misumi guy, this has got to be the jobbiest jobber ever created.
He's the
like,
shittiest.
Imagine for a second being created to lose to Kankuro.
Yeah.
Number 332, Kankuro versus
Twice.
Sasori.
Oh.
This is the opposite of the last
What's
one.
up, Louis?
Here, Kankuro takes Misumi's place and becomes the jobber used to make Sasori look cool. At the start of Shippuden, Kankuro was doing pretty well for himself. He wasn't like top end or anything, but the guy was a jonin. He had no losses on him.
He's supposed to be a jonin, by the way.
Did was tied with Shino, but then you see this happen to him, and you find out that Sasori was only using like 0.01% of his power, and Kankuro just becomes impossible to take seriously ever again. Like a lot of these recent fights, this one's really short, and especially by Naruto standards, the choreography here is weak. The only reason I've got it this high is because, like I said, it's effective at establishing Sasori as a credible threat. Number 331, Hayate versus Baki. Now, okay, listen, just hear me out for a second. I get it. This is pretty high, all things considered, but you just gotta let me explain myself.
Okay, go crazy.
Yes, I know these are 2 characters that do not matter.
No, but they got some. They got hands though.
There's some important story stuff going on here, okay? The whole sand, sound, leaf destruction plot, all the intrigue of it, the cloak and dagger. This is one of the scenes that really brings all that stuff to the forefront of the plot. And there's one version of this fight specific to the Shippuden anime for some reason, where Baki just goes crazy. He drops one of the sickest combo attacks like ever on Hayate. It's actually really cool, I swear. Like I know to some of you it must seem psychotic to put this over fights from the full breakdown or some of the SwagKage fights, but like it's kind of a sleeper hit, man.
Ball knowledge.
Number 330, Sanji and Jinbei versus Watatsumi. At the risk of sounding like a broken record, here we've got another fairly short one with nothing too crazy on the choreography side. It's nice to see the fruits of Sanji's training though. I mean, it's nice to finally get to see him fight after the time skip at all. So for that reason, I'm cool with putting this close to the top of this batch of short fights against nobodies.
I'm watching every fight in the big 3 ranked from worst to best. It's in the thumbnail title.
Versus Urashima. The anime version of this fight is kind of miserable. It's pretty emblematic of
well, Luffy looks so jacked. Goodness.
But I'm a huge fan of the look of modern One Piece. Enough of a fan that I'm not going to put this one all the way at the bottom where I think a lot of people think it belongs. Number 328, Ichigo versus Jidanbo. So this is another fight that's low because it's short and it's against a minor opponent, but the reason this one's as high as it is because I consider Gin's introduction.
Oh yeah, that's a good fight.
This fight. This scene's great at demonstrating the immense power difference between Ichigo at this point in the series and the higher tier Soul Reaper captains. This is a good way to quickly characterize Gin for the audience, and the actual Ichigo versus Jidanbo fight isn't bad either, it's just too short to go any higher than this. Number 327, Sasuke.
The first Sasuke fight.
Oboro.
The first Sasuke. Oboro again.
If this is too high for you, I get it. This is pulling no weight narratively. Oboro is about as random gets. And this is probably the shortest fight I've ranked so far outside of any one caps. But This scene is directed and choreographed so well. It doesn't make any sense considering what the fight is.
They were just cooking with sauce.
Does something super creative here by using the chakra adhesion training that he got from Kakashi, which everybody uses to climb up trees with their feet, and applying it to stick a kunai to the sole of his foot and lob it at the guy he's fighting.
That's fire.
It at him. That's so cool. Like, look, I can't.
That's fire. I'm not gonna lie.
Sorry, I can't do it.
That's fire. Sasuke is goated for that. I'm not gonna. Sasuke is goated for that. He's goated.
Anko versus Orochimaru. This is another really short one, but we get a lot of cool visuals in jutsu here, like the striking shadow snake and the suicide jutsu Anko threatens to use against Orochimaru to end it. I've also got to appreciate the legwork this takes care of in working toward establishing Orochimaru as a credible threat. Before this, we saw him give Naruto and Sasuke a lot of trouble on screen. But there again, Anko here is a Jonin and the proctor of the Chunin exam, so seeing her get completely outclassed by Orochimaru helps this fight pull its weight narratively by helping sell the audience on how threatening Orochimaru is supposed to be. I really like this fight and want to put it higher for all the reasons I've listed so far, but because of how short it is, in order to be consistent, I don't think I can. Number 325, Raizo versus Fukurokuju.
Okay.
I'm okay with this being here. Every time I look at it, it seems like it might be too high. But then I think about it, and I don't really feel like moving it down. I didn't really expect anything from this fight, but this surprised me a bit. I mean, it's not like spectacular or anything. I still got it in the bottom 50. But the Odin callback did something for me, and it's pretty funny. So nothing crazy, but for what it is, I think it's good. Number 324, Bellamy versus
Bellamy.
Bartolomeo. This is another short one, and I want to say it's a little weird to use Bellamy as a measuring stick for a character like this again, because that already happened. Luffy beat him up way back in Jaya. But, I gotta say, the actual fight part of the fight is pretty good, and as a scene, this effectively, succinctly conveys what Bartolomeo's abilities are. Fine for what it is, but not escaping the bottom 50.
Damn.
Number
Poor Bellamy.
323, Rangiku versus Kira. Like Anko versus Orochimaru, this is a fight that I want to put higher, but more because of its narrative accomplishments than anything that actually happens in the fight. This is one of many events that helps the audience understand the entire Aizen plot at the center of the Soul Society arc. We also learn a lot about both characters. This is the first time we see each of their Shikai. The problem, again, what's keeping me from putting it higher is that it's way too short. There's not enough meat on this fight's bones. Number 322, Ryu Ishida and Ryuken Ishida versus Menos Grande Hollow. Cards on the table, full transparency here. This isn't where it is because of the quality of the fight. The clash with the Menos Grande is fine, but what I really like about this fight is the Ryuken reveal at the end. It's super cool, and if we got a proper fight out of it, I think this would be way, way higher. But there's not enough meat to chew on here, and the Ryuken reveal can only carry it so far. Number 321, Sanji versus Pearl. I didn't know if I should even include this one because it's so short, but I think it's important enough to mention, especially because it comes from Sanji's debut arc. The impression he managed to leave on everybody through his contributions here is pretty undeniable. He's one of the very, very most popular characters in the series, and I don't think that would be the case if Oda hadn't managed to stick the landing with him the way that he did. Like I said though, it's really short. It's basically just one combo. You can honestly include Luffy as a part of this fight too, but I still think it's an important part of Sanji's introduction. Number 320.
20.
Versus
Sanji again.
Jerry. Same deal as last time.
Who the fuck is Jerry?
Sanji fight that's really short, but the setup for it is pretty good. And I think the surrounding story context with everything going on in Water 7, the fact that the crew is on their way to any slab to rescue Robin. This really helps instill confidence that the crew is going to be able to pull it off. It's also pretty funny. Having said all that, I'm not a huge fan of the fights during the sea train section. I don't think any of this, but for what this is, it's okay. Number 319, Zoro versus T-Bone. Same deal as before. This is one of the sea train fights, and it's basically over in one attack. But in the anime, the way that this is shot and directed is stellar. If Zoro was fighting anybody more important, I might put it higher, but I don't think T-Bone is in anybody's top 100 One Piece characters, so this can stay where it is. Number 318, Toby versus Fu and Torune. The main reason this one's down here is because it's really, really minor. I don't think that's going to surprise anyone, but I actually do get a kick out of it every time I read it. I think it's choreographed pretty well. Obito's entertaining to watch, but it's just so small and split second, especially compared to everything else that's going on during the 5-Kage summit. I get why this has to happen because all the other Kage had assistants helping them. You need somebody to get rid of Fu and Torune, and Obito is right there, so why not have him do it? It was the right call, having it happen. Plus, it gets called back to later when Obito takes these two out of his pocket dimension and makes Kabuto use them for the Edo Tensei demonstration. There's nothing really wrong with it, but like I said, it's just too small in scope to go any higher than this. Number 317, the Itachi Pursuit Team versus Toby. For those of you who don't know what I mean by the Itachi Pursuit Team, I'm talking about Naruto, Sakura, Kakashi, Yamato, Hinata, Shino, all those guys. Everybody that got gathered to track down Itachi so that they could find Sasuke and bring him back to the village. Not a mind-blowing fight or anything. It's pretty funny watching everybody try and fail to hit Obito over and over and over and over again. Plus, the Toby persona by itself makes me laugh. Obito's hilarious. But the real reason this is here is because of the code switch at the end. This isn't how we, the audience, find out that the goofball thing is just Toby playing an act, but it's the first time he shows anybody that isn't part of the Akatsuki that that's the case. Number 316, the Straw Hats versus Giola. Looking at it now, maybe this is too high, maybe this is way too high. This is another goofy one for sure, but I don't hate anything about it. Like, I guess you could cut it, but it's not the worst fight in Dressrosa, not even close. I don't have a whole lot to say about this, so if you made me throw this down, I wouldn't fight you too hard on it. This is where I'm going to go. Number 318, Choji and Choza versus the Ghetto Mazo. This fight's cool for a couple narrative reasons, which is why I have it above some of these other fights that are maybe more visually interesting, but aren't doing as much for me at a plot or character level. Then some of the other fights that I feel are more narratively important to this.
I like this statue thing.
Fight part to justify me putting them higher than this one. The first thing that's cool is getting to see Choji go up against a fairly high-tier enemy, and it helps that he's fighting alongside his dad. Seeing the statue in action is pretty cool too, especially considering how much time it's been moving in the background.
I forgot about this statue fight.
Expand the scope of what this fight includes beyond the label I gave it. I also really like Kitsuchi's huge earth jutsu that he uses to trap the Ghetto statue. Obito showing up at the end is awesome. He's really funny and imposing as usual. And the shot at the end of all of the dead ninja from the Allied Shinobi forces strewn across the beach is effective. It's a striking image for sure. Now, this is still an early war arc fight, so the plot feels like it's in stasis here, which means I don't really care that much for it. But for all the reasons I just gave, I'll take it over any of the fights we've talked about so far.
The war arc was a lot.
Number 314, Dory versus
Dory.
If this fight was longer, it could be way higher than it is, because I find the story of Dory and Rocky really compelling. But we barely see any of this fight. It's like a couple clashes and the rest is implied. These two, their dynamic and their relationship, all that is by far the best part of Little Garden. So I don't feel bad putting this fight above any of this other stuff, but like I said, unfortunately, this is where it has to stop. Number 313, Ryu and Chad
Chad.
versus Ice Ringer and Demura. For those of you who don't remember, Ice Ringer and Demura are two armed cars that ambush Ichigo, Ryu, and Chad when they first make it into Hoiko Mundo. This leads to a good character moment for Ryu and Chad, having them tell Ichigo to step aside so that they can take care of something for him instead of the other way around for once is nice. Plus, watching them steamroll these two is pretty entertaining. Having said that, like with a lot of these fights I've been talking about around this point in the list, it's pretty short, a little too short to go any higher, and these two aren't our jobbers. I'm not going to lie and say that this doesn't make Ryu and Chad look better, because it definitely does. They come out of this looking pretty strong. But I would have preferred if they fought some more noteworthy people. Things being as they are here, this didn't leave a super big impression on me, so I'm going to leave it right.
I love that it was just like, nah, we're gonna fight these guys. You stay out the way. They just keep hitting them out the way.
Chad
Uh-oh.
versus
I'm surprised Chad's not lower.
Noitora. I'm of two minds when it comes to this fight, because on one hand, this is a pretty good way to introduce one of the Espada, and on the other hand, this undoes all the hype and goodwill Kubo worked to generate for Chad not too long before this happens. Now, as a Noitora fan, I think the first one is more important. So despite the fact that the fight is really short, and I find the way Kubo treats Chad to be really, really annoying, I do still like and appreciate what this fight is trying to do, which is why it's all the way up here, even above fights that it may have sounded like I was being more positive about. While I have plenty of issues with it, I think this is still a good spot for it.
Cool.
Number 311, Sasuke and Suigetsu
Ooh.
versus Judo. The
I remember
visuals
this,
and
I think.
choreography here aren't mind-blowing, especially not by Naruto standards, but there are still a few cool exchanges here, and this is a pretty good way to handle Jugo's introduction too. I think the highlight here, especially as a Sasuke fan, is Sasuke stopping Suigetsu and Jugo at the end. I think it's a very cool moment that elevates an already solid scene.
I love Suigetsu. He's one of my favorite designed characters in Naruto. He looks really cool. I don't know. I just like this shark aesthetic.
Kabaji. I'll give this fight some credit for being the first time Oda uses the formula he reuses with Zoro in pretty much every arc after this. Luffy fights the captain, Zoro fights the captain's top guy, or whatever. It's a good system. For One Piece, I am a fan of this narrative structure. Aside from that, it's really nothing special. Zoro gets a pretty cool finishing attack, but that's about it. There are definitely better fights in One Piece than this one. Number 309, Frankie versus Nero. Like I said earlier, I'm not super big on these sea train fights, but this is definitely one of the better ones. There are some decent visuals here, and I think it handles being one of Frankie's first fights as a member of the Straw Hats pretty well. Number 308, Sanji versus Wanzi. Out of all the sea train fights, this one's probably my favorite, I think. The chef against chef dynamic here is neat. It's pretty funny, and there are some fairly inspired visuals here too. Nothing mind-blowing, but the best of an alright action. Number 307, Chad versus
Chad again.
Bulbous G.
Not this
For
guy.
those of you who don't know, because I didn't know before I started making this video, Bulbous G is the name of the hollow that Chad fights where he first awakens his full brain powers. And this is a pretty good fight. Bleach definitely has better fights than this, but this is a really good first showing for full brain powers and a great way to make Chad an actual relevant player in the story. Not for very long, I'll admit, but it's better than nothing. Number 306, Orihime versus
Okay.
Numb Chandelier.
I haven't seen any of Orihime's fight alone because I haven't watched all of
I've got a lot
Bleach.
of the same things to say about this one as with the last one. These two fights happen at the same time, and they serve the same purpose for the story. There are definitely better fights in Bleach than this. But
Is
they're
Orihime
still
like a sword user or like a like a
Number 305.
like a
Chopper versus chess sparring
I
mode.
don't know.
This is a solid first chopper fight. It does a good job introducing the abilities and fighting style, and really that's why it's all the way up here. As for visuals and choreography, I don't think they're particularly strong. I think they're fine. One Piece definitely has better fights than this, but because of the legwork it puts in to make sure we understand what we need to about chopper and the combat setting
Him turning from
forward,
a
I'm fine with putting it close to, but not quite in the top 300. Number 304, Zoro versus Cody Jones.
What are these names, man?
This is just cool. This one is not particularly important to the story or the flow of the arc. Luffy eventually meets Cody Jones. It's pretty obvious from the beginning that Luffy's going to be the one to beat Cody Jones. But I wouldn't cut this from the arc or anything like that. Like, I know I'm clearly biased. I like Zoro a lot, but if this were, say, Sanji or Robin doing something like this instead, I'd be pushing for its inclusion too. Number 303, Ichigo versus Mr. Pork. I know this is really high for a fight like this, especially after all of the mean things I have to say about the Fullbring arc. But I really like how training is handled in Bleach. I always feel like it adds to the arcs, never takes away. And the whole Fullbring premise, I thought it had, no, I think it has a lot of promise. Wasn't handled perfectly, but I thought things were looking great at the start. This fight sets Ichigo up to get stronger and shows us a pretty cool example of a Fullbring power, while also being a lot of fun. I don't regret putting it this high, I'm sorry. Number 302, Ichigo
again.
Ururu. I have the same feelings here as I did with the last one. This is another really solid
I remember this.
exhibition, but I prefer the Urahara stuff to the Fullbring tree. Urahara is cooler than everyone from Execution. Don't think that's a hot take. And I think this Soul Reaper training makes the story feel like it's opening up more than the Fullbring training. Number 301, Ichigo versus Jackie. Here we've got even more training, and despite what I just said about preferring Ichigo's training with Urahara,
Jackie,
with the members of Execution,
Queen.
I think I've gotta put this one over the Ururu training at least because it's a full-blown fight. Jackie's pretty cool too. I like her Fullbring a lot, and on that note, it's neat being able to see Ichigo's Fullbring for the first time here. Number 300, Robin versus Pell. This one's about as short as all the fights in this recent bunch, but it gets to be at the top because, as I've already said, I really like Robin, and I think that this is probably the last time she felt this strong relative to everybody else in the world of One Piece. I think it's unreal how cool she looks here. And you better believe I'm giving it bonus points for that. Number 299, Luffy versus Alvida. So maybe Robin versus Pell was a weird way to start off the top 300, but I hope this makes more sense to everybody. I think we can all agree that the action here isn't exactly mind-blowing or groundbreaking, but I'd say this is going to be one of the better scenes out of the whole series, and depending on whether you started with the manga or the anime, this might have been the way you were introduced to Luffy. Effectively, concisely conveys everything you need to know about how his powers work right away, sets the tone for the rest of the series, and it basically leaves me with nothing to complain about. If I was ranking every major scene in the big three from worst to best, I think this would be a lot higher, but the fact that this is being analyzed as a fight is what holds it back. Number 298, Ichigo versus Hollow-Fied Sora. This is another one I don't find particularly visually impressive, but I think it's pretty memorable for story reasons, and the work it does to convey Bleach's tone and the type of story it's going to be going forward. Not one of the best fights in the series or anything, it's definitely held back by the monster of the week feeling of these early Bleach fights, but I still think it's quite good. Number 297, Ichigo and
Oh
Don
my
Kanji
goodness.
versus the Demi Hollow. I love and adore Don Kanji. He is amazing. Certainly one of the highlights of the early Karakura Town stuff. I want to say I wish we got more out of him, but I'll just be thankful that he's in the story at all. The fight itself is pretty standard, but Don Kanji on its own is funny enough to carry it up this high. Number 296, Usopp
Sop.
versus Chu.
Huh?
I really like Arlong Park. I don't think that's a hot take. And I think this fight deserves to be celebrated for being Usopp's first real one-on-one victory. But I don't think I can put it any higher than this because it's pretty minor, especially compared to all the stuff surrounding it. But like I said, it's nice that Usopp gets a moment like this at all. This is the right moment in the story for something like this to happen because it really helps the Straw Hats feel like they're coming together and forming a cohesive unit. I said earlier in the video that I don't think every member of the Straw Hats needs a fight in every single arc, but here I think it really works. They don't just feel like a band of misfits here. They feel like they're starting to become a real pirate crew, one full of members who are all willing to fight and die for their fellow crewmates. In this case, Nami. The catch-up trick that Usopp uses to fool Chu into thinking he's dead is also awesome. It's really stupid, but in an endearing way. I think it has a lot of charm to it. Number 295.
Man,
Zoro
this video is so long.
Kyozu. This is the complete opposite of the last one. Nothing more than a cool fight. Take it out of the story, I don't think any characters regress. Nothing really changes for the worse. This is just the Zoro hype moments and aura, and for a guy like me, that's good enough to get it in the top 300. Number 294, Shino versus Konkoro.
Okay,
It's
Naruto.
been a while since we talked about Naruto. 15, 20-ish fights or something. Anyway, this is a pretty good fight, I guess. Not my favorite. I described it in my Naruto fight ranking video as like a canon filler fight, which is maybe a little unfair. These guys were a bracket match in the finals of the Chunin exams. And honestly, I think if the fight had played out in the arena, I would like it a little bit more. Now, I do think I understand Kishimoto's thought process here, why this fight was implemented the way it was. Because if it was a part of the tournament, there are two ways to do it. One, put it before Sasuke versus Gaara, which makes the audience a little impatient because that was the big ticket Super Bowl match. Or you put it after Sasuke versus Gaara, and it kind of feels like a wet fart. I mean, especially because it's competing with Naruto versus Neji and Shikamaru versus Temari, too. Making it a part of the Sand Sound joint invasion gives it a little more gravity and makes it into a stepping stone. Builds up hype for Naruto versus Gaara and Hiruzen versus Orochimaru. And it is pretty cool. I mean, these guys have fairly unique abilities. This is like two scumbag, zoner camper, cheater, win condition type of fighting styles coming head to head. But, I don't know. I didn't need to see this fight. All the stuff surrounding it's a lot more interesting and exciting. And I'm not going to skip it when I reread the arc or anything. But if it was cut out, I wouldn't care too much.
Damn.
Number 293, Zunisha versus Jack. So, credit where it's due. From a story perspective, this fight and what surrounds it is great. All the Joy Boy stuff that this sets up is supremely important. And this is also responsible for showing the audience the first billion berry bounty in the story. Since it belongs to a guy named Jack, and he has crewmates named Queen and King, this has some pretty nasty implications about the strength of that crew, who the Straw Hats are currently on a collision course with. Now, we don't find out about the rest of the three calamities until later, but still, Jack being part of Kaido's crew and having a billion berry bounty does a bit to make Kaido feel even scarier than he already did before Jack's introduction. For all these reasons, and many more, it is crazy to see him get steamrolled by Zunisha like this. So given all this, you'd think that I'd want to put this fight higher than this. Like, way higher. But we have to remember that it's just a trunk swipe. That's it. And I'll admit, it's a very well-directed, well-animated trunk swipe in the anime, but that's still all it is. And now looking at it as a scene, there's nothing wrong with that. I think the way Oda handled this is great. I wouldn't change it. But I have to rank it as a fight against a bunch of other fights. And the choreography here might just be the worst on the whole entire list. So, I'm gonna leave it here. And as cool as all the story implications are, I think the fight should consider itself lucky that it even got this high. Number 292, the Straw Hats versus the Frankie family. Like with a lot of fights that are in this range, the fight part of this fight is not why this is all the way up here. The Straw Hats walk into this building, each throw out like one of their signature moves, and then they win. It's why it's not higher, because if it was better, the build up to it, that would be a formula for one of the best scenes in the series, I think. This is a very different scene, but like I was talking about with Usopp versus Chu, I really liked it, and I think everybody else really likes it when the Straw Hats stick up for each other like this. The shot of them walking to the Frankie house is great. One of my favorite moments in Water 7, especially because I love Usopp. So on account of this being on his behalf, I was really into it when I got to this part of One Piece. Narrative-wise, character-wise, one of my favorite moments of Water 7 for sure. Just wish the fight was better. Number 291, Ichigo, Kenpachi, and Byakuya versus Zami.
One lady.
I have complicated feelings about this one. This is a fight that I definitely would say missed the mark, even though I have it above a lot of fights that I really like. Compared to basically everything else I've talked about so far, the peaks are higher, the stakes are higher, the hype is higher, the aura is higher, but there's a lot I don't like about it. For one, the whole Yami is actually a spot of number 0 thing. I don't know. Didn't like it. Maybe I'm overthinking this, but when he and Ukiura first showed up, I thought this was supposed to be an homage to Vegeta and Nappa. They show up in basically the same way. Yami is like a giant compared to Ukiura, but Ukiura is actually the stronger one. And I think that's a cool character dynamic. Plus, I think it takes a lot of the teeth out of Ichigo's victory against Ukiura if this guy who is supposed to be playing second fiddle to him the whole time is actually stronger than him. I don't know, maybe I'm just saying this because I am a huge Ukiura guy, and I liked it better when he was stronger. Maybe the reason is really just that petty that I think the reveal doesn't work. Now, I don't think it's that simple. Another reason I don't like this is because I don't think it actually goes anywhere. I guess it necessitates Byakuya and Kenpachi teaming up to fight one guy if he's actually that strong. But if you're gonna do all of that to set up a fight like this, don't have the majority of it happen off screen. That sucks. What is there is great though. Byakuya and Kenpachi showing up is one of my favorite moments of the arc, and what we do get to see is awesome. I just think it's undercut by everything I just talked about. Number 290, Luffy versus Don Chinjao versus Cavendish. I don't know if there are any serious fans of the Dressrosa Coliseum section out there, but if they exist, I am not one of them. Sabo's introduction was fairly important, so I guess you can't take it out completely, but if it were up to me, I would have cut as much as I possibly can, because Dressrosa is already
Alright, let me get to,
long, even without the Coliseum stuff, man. That said, this fight's pretty good. It's decent. There's some neat visuals here and there, and it ends up getting pretty crazy by the end, so trying to give up his found family like this in order to protect them from German 66 is probably the most noble thing Sanji has ever done. The fight also looks great. It's one of the better looking digitally animated fights from before the Wano art style change. And while it's not as pretty or as action-packed as, say, Sanji versus Queen, it has a far stronger emotional core. This fight moved me in ways no other Sanji fight has. Number 99.
Top 100.
Zoro versus Mihawk. Yeah, sorry. Had to do it again. I just couldn't help myself. And I think this is appropriate too. This is about as important for Zoro as that Luffy fight is for Sanji. Though I'd argue it's a little bit more important, since what happens here follows Zoro for the rest of One Piece. This is where he's confronted with the reality of his goal of becoming the world's strongest swordsman. And it's a brutal wake-up call. He gets humiliated. This is just as important for the audience as it is for Zoro, since it's our first glimpse into the greater world of One Piece, and an effective demonstration of just how much more powerful the world's strongest fighters are than our main characters. And if Zoro's got to grow this much if he wants to become the world's strongest swordsman, well, that kind of also means Luffy has a long way to go before he's ready to become the Pirate King. Number 98. Soifon, Omaida, and
Omae wa mou shinderu.
Barrigan. Barrigan ended up being like a sleeper hit for me. I like him way more than I expected to. He is awesome, from his design to his abilities. And speaking of his abilities, one of my favorite moments from the entire fake Karakura Town situation is when Hachigen tries to use a Kido technique to lock Barrigan down, and Barrigan responds by destroying it and asking, "Did you think that Kido can't grow old?" He's a great villain, and he forces a great performance out of Soifon and Hachigen. Number 97. Byakuya versus Osnolt.
Yeah, I like Byakuya. He's a cool character so far.
This way earlier in the list. I kind of liked this fight more when I thought Byakuya died. It made the stakes feel higher, it raised the intensity and the drama of the Stern Ritter invasion and all of that. Is what I want to say, but if I'm being honest, this fight still does its job really well. It's weird to see Byakuya get blasted like this, and
Yo.
this immediately legitimizes the Stern Ritter. It makes them feel like the most serious threat in the series so far.
Humble them real quick.
Number 96. Shunsui and Nanao
Now.
versus
Not now.
Baro. I like Shunsui just like everybody else does, and he makes the beginning of this fight so much fun to watch. Their game of red light, green light is a joy. And after this game goes south for Shunsui, we finally get to see his Bankai. It's one of the highlights of this fight for me. The back half of this fight also made me into a Nanao fan. I didn't even know I wanted her to get a big moment until she got it here, and it blew me away. I also like all the Issei clan stuff here and the glimpse into Shunsui's past that we get in the process. Number 95. Sasuke
Uh-oh.
and Itachi
This
versus
fight?
Kabuto. The stakes are about as high as you can imagine with this one, since Sasuke and Itachi are fighting on behalf of the entire allied shinobi forces in order to save them from Kabuto's army of reanimations. Itachi opens this up with one of the best one-liners of all time, where he tells Kabuto that his supposedly perfect, flawless jutsu actually has one critical weakness: Itachi himself. This sticks out of my memory as one of the more creative fights Kishimoto drew, between Itachi taking advantage of his ability to regenerate, Kabuto warping the environment, and all of his other weird, crazy sage stuff, the Sound 5's abilities being implemented, and of course Izanami. There's a ton going on here, and thanks to that, we get a fight unlike pretty much anything else, and a worthy conclusion to one of this war's three major fronts. All the stuff between Sasuke and Itachi is of course worth mentioning too. The closure they get, the closure we the audience get, Itachi's final words to Sasuke, it's some of the best stuff in the entire series.
W brother.
Number
W brother.
94. The Supernovas and Zoro versus Kaido and Big Mom.
Oh. Oh
However,
yeah.
the last fight where Luffy Law and Kid all teamed up quite high, and that was just against a bunch of nameless Marines. This time, the stakes are a lot higher. They're up against two Emperors of the Sea, who obviously demand a lot more from them than all the grunts did back at Sabaudi. Zoro's here to help the three of them this time, which is always a plus in my book, and I guess Killer's there too. So from the outset, this fight has an exciting setup, and the way it starts with Luffy walking straight past Kaido and Big Mom, and one of the most iconic shots in the series to go check on Kinemon is enough to justify this fight's placement up here. And after everybody actually starts fighting, we get plenty more highlights that are on this level too. Number 93. Rukia versus
As not.
This is Rukia hype moments in aura, so it is automatically good. That's all I needed to be sold on this. And this is an exceptional example of Rukia hype moments in aura. She gets a run back on Byakuya's behalf and beats the guy that almost killed him. And it's kind of a dominant victory. This is the first time we get to see her Bankai. Somehow, Byakuya comes out of this looking cool. And
Somehow.
you know, a guy like me can't really ask
Somehow
for any more.
Byakuya made this look cool. He stole the aura a little bit, not gonna lie.
Luffy versus Crocodile. Round 2.
Oh, specifically.
Croc is probably my favorite One Piece villain, and I think all of his fights with Luffy are excellent. This one's the weakest of the three, but as you can probably tell based on where I've got it, I still really like it. Just because it's the least important of the three doesn't mean it's not important. This is where we see that Luffy's plan to take advantage of Croc's weakness to water could actually work. But because Crocodile is so competent and so even with this plan and a decent amount of preparation, Crocodile wins again. This tells us, the audience, that even with this plan of his, Luffy's still gonna have to work pretty hard if he wants to put Crocodile down for good.
Damn.
Number 91. The Gote 13 and Vizard versus Aizen and Wonder Weiss.
What the fuck?
My feelings about this one are pretty straightforward. It's a lot of fun to watch Aizen shrug off being attacked by like a gorgillion captains and Vizard at the same time. As usual, Yamamoto steals the show when he makes an appearance at the end. Mostly due to how crazy the entrance he makes is, but also due in small part to how much fun I think his fight with Wonder Weiss is. It's cool to hear that even Aizen is afraid to take Yamamoto on in a straight fight.
Oh, duh.
And knowing that, it starts to feel like all hope may truly be lost as soon as Aizen's plan to get Yamamoto out of the picture succeeds.
I was like, oh no, Aizen actually.
90. Kakashi.
Uh-oh. Glazer. Glazer. Glazer.
This is one of the high points of Pain's assault to me. It's pretty important since this is the first time we see Tendo Pain's powers, and since Kakashi's so smart, he's able to figure them out and pass the information on so it eventually makes its way to Naruto. We get a lot of great dialogue here, some really cool tactics and jutsu interactions, a cool moment out of Choji and his dad, and even Kakashi's death, which leads to a conversation between he and his dad that I've always loved. Number 89. Naruto versus Neji. I have completely changed my mind about this fight.
I love this fight.
It's not my favorite fight in the Chunin exams or anything, but I've kind of fallen in love with it. I certainly wouldn't call it the worst fight in Naruto or anything close to that anymore. The way I used to look at it is you got Neji here going on and on about how you can't change your fate, and if you're born a failure, you're stuck a failure forever. You know, if you want to become Hokage, you can't do it unless you're set up for it. And then here comes Naruto using the great gift of the Nine Tails to turn the tide of the battle in his favor and win. But that's not actually what's going on here. At this point in the story, the Nine Tails is more of a curse than a gift to Naruto. We see that demonstrated a couple different ways. Gaara's a foil to Naruto, and he's an example of what could happen to Naruto if he leaned on the power of his tail piece too much and allowed it and his status as a Jinchuriki to define him. But instead of mindlessly, carelessly tapping into the power of the Nine Tails here, the way he did against Haku, and losing himself in the process, Naruto makes the power of the Nine Tails his own. He changes the Nine Tails from a curse into a blessing through sheer hard work and willpower. And I don't think that contradicts this fight's subtext at all the way I used to. I think it actually brilliantly conveys a lot of the story's core themes, and we get a sick fight out of it. Neji is such a good mini-boss. The way he challenges Naruto's worldview here is essential to Naruto's overall development and to his ability to reach out to Gaara at the end of the arc. I also like that Naruto's use of the Nine Tails chakra doesn't just give him the win on a silver platter here. He has to trick Neji by taking advantage of the way that Neji and most of his peers see him. He pretends to be this brutish, reckless idiot that thinks he can win any fight by simply overpowering his enemy, to trick Neji into thinking he's won and leaving himself open to a clean, decisive hit in the jaw. I also gotta say before we move on, 64 palms is one of the coolest jutsu in the series.
That's fair. 64 palms looks really cool. It's also brutal as hell. Bing, 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 bing. You can't move now.
And Sasuke versus Haku.
Okay.
This is one half of a great climax. While Kakashi's busy dealing with Zabuza, we get a really intense battle on the other side of the grid.
Alright, guys.
The only problem that I have with this fight is that in the anime, the stuff inside the ice mirror drags a little bit, but it...
Top 10.
Number 10.
Let's do it.
Kakashi versus Obito.
Duh. Quite duh. Literally duh.
That takes basically everything that people like about Naruto and puts it to great use. It's pretty good in the manga, I want to say. It's a little bare bones, but it's the anime version's incredible animation and directing that's made this one as popular as it is. The cuts between past and present are really cool and do a great job highlighting that while maybe this isn't what you would call a grudge match, it's certainly been a long time coming. And it also lets the audience know that despite how long these two have been apart for, their time together on Team Minato gave them a strong fundamental understanding of one another. It's also pretty neat to see Obito forced to fight without Kabui for a change, especially against somebody like Kakashi, who is a joy to watch as usual. Number 9. The Summit War at Marineford.
Okay.
When I was putting this list together, I really did try to keep all these fights separate. But keeping track of everything and making calls based on what I should and shouldn't count ended up being a nightmare. So I decided to do one piece of solid and combine them all into one huge team battle. And as a result, it made its way into the top 10. To a lot of people, Marineford is as good as One Piece gets. And while I'm more of an Enies Lobby guy, I can totally see it. The Summit War is chock full of series highlights. So much of the best stuff in One Piece happens here. Take your pick of any of Whitebeard's amazing scenes, Luffy confronting the three admirals, Shanks' arrival, Ace's death. Whether it's any of these moments or a billion others, no matter what you pick, you'll end up with somebody's favorite scene in One Piece. Between all the fan service, the one-of-a-kind matchups, the multiple narrative turning points that changed the world of One Piece forever, and what the audience learns about so many of the most important characters in the story, it's hard to think of a better way Oda could have set up the transition into the time skip than this. As much as everybody likes to focus on Ace's death here, which, let me be clear, does deserve it, what moved me the most was Whitebeard's death and his final speech. This is one of the best speeches in the Big Three, point blank, period. And it's something I still
Let's go,
find
Whitebeard.
myself thinking about and reflecting on from time to time. Number 8.
Number 8.
Luffy
Lettuce.
versus Kaido. In a lot of ways, this is One Piece's equivalent to Goku versus Frieza. It's a huge final battle between a villain that a gauntlet of people has already tried and failed to defeat, and our hero who has just unlocked a legendary new transformation. This is one of the definitive anime manga battles of the decade, rivaled in anticipation and popularity only by Gojo versus Sukuna. It's the climax of a huge setup spanning multiple arcs, and a monumental turning point for the series on the same level as the Marineford War I just talked about. This fight is, among many other things, meant to convince the audience that Luffy is worthy of becoming one of the 4 emperors now, and it lives up to its importance, its ambition, and its scope. This was the most engaged I remember being by a One Piece fight since the only other one I have yet to talk about, and I think that's largely due to how well it was set up. Every time Kaido was mentioned before this, all of Luffy's defeats, all of the Oden stuff, everything with the rest of the samurai, everything to do with Joy Boy, so many prior events and plot threads feel like they're coming to a head in this fight, and it is unbelievably rewarding. Gear 5's grand debut is also a slam dunk. It's used so well in this fight, and while some of my favorite uses of its abilities come from elsewhere, I don't feel like I could have asked for more from its introduction. It's an incredibly creative, imaginative form, and it's also one that exudes power. The series does a great job conveying both Luffy and Kaido's immense power, and making the fight feel like the clash of titans that everybody wanted and expected it to be.
Damn. That's fire.
Number 7. Ichigo versus Ulquiorra.
Ooh.
First of all, this fight takes place in my favorite battleground in Bleach. The scenery above the canopy of Los Noches is beautiful and complements the tone of the fight well. The location also uses subtext to convey a progression of power, as these guys literally have to break through the ceiling in order to continue their fight, almost as though they're figuratively breaking through the previously existing power ceiling of the other Arrancar. It's cool stuff. The fight itself is spectacular. Without a doubt, one of Kubo's best. The action set pieces here are unbelievable. The banter between Ichigo and Ulquiorra is top tier. And while Mugetsu Ichigo is my favorite transformation in the series, the immediate runner-ups are both present here. This fight really delivers on all of the promises Kubo makes throughout the arc to give these two a huge climactic battle at the end, and is a worthy finale to the Wako Mundo half of the Arrancar arc.
Wow. Holy glaze.
Number 6. Sasuke versus Itachi.
Of course. Of course.
The subplot
I mean,
revolving
yeah.
around Sasuke's quest to get revenge on Itachi is both the biggest and my favorite subplot in Naruto, and this is the climax that it deserves. In addition to being one of the best fights in the series, and a payoff 380 chapters in the making, it also offers the audience a wiki's worth of story and world building. This is the fight that introduces us to concepts like the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan and the Susanoo, and it also supposedly tells us more about Madara and his supposed involvement in the Nine Tails attack on the Hidden Leaf Village. The fact that this is the resolution of one of the longest running plot threads in the series, and it still manages to do so much setup for the rest of the story, is really impressive, especially considering, like I said, this is all just a backdrop to one of the best fights in the series. There are so many incredible set pieces here, like the whole genjutsu situation that the fight opens with, the shuriken volleys these two throw at each other, the fireball jutsu clash, the debut of Kirin and the Susanoo. Like, it's a laundry list of some of the coolest stuff.
Made Sasuke look so cool.
And considering that everything that the audience learns in its aftermath flips the entire story of the Uchiha Clan massacre on its head, it's a little hard for me to live with this fight sitting outside the top 5. Number 5.
Number 5, foot lettuce.
Versus Lucci at Enies Lobby.
Enies
Water
Lobby.
7 and Enies Lobby is still the most invested I've ever found myself in One Piece, and anybody will tell you that this is the best fight from the arc. Now, unlike Kubo Kishimoto, Oda is still writing his manga, which means it's possible for him to top this one, but for now, this fight remains the best of his work. The story context for this fight makes it so much more engrossing. But even if you ask me to separate it from that, I think this is the best fight Oda's ever drawn, too. Especially nowadays, it's rare for us to get a straight-up brawl like this. And just as rare to get a fight that's this vicious and brutal. It's just minutes on end of these two beating the life out of each other. And almost strictly hand-to-hand combat, and I love it to death. Because of the way this fight is choreographed, paneled, and directed, I felt really sold on the idea that Luffy truly was in danger. I think this is the most scared I've ever been for him, aside from during or after fights that he loses, and so my eyes were just glued to the pages here. I've never, ever needed anything in One Piece quite as badly as I needed Luffy to win this fight and save Robin.
Luffy did not go down.
By the skin of his teeth, beat Lucci. I felt a sense of triumph and relief that the series still has yet to replicate.
Damn. Even with all the new stuff, that's crazy.
Number 4.
Foot lettuce.
Naruto versus Pain. Okay, so
This is a good fight.
just to address the elephant in the room, I'm sorry. If you've been keeping track of these fights, you probably noticed Naruto got 3 in the top 5. The other series only got 1. Trust me, you can ask anybody who heard about this list as I was making it. They will tell you, I've gone to great lengths to keep something like this from happening. I don't want the top of this list to be dominated by Naruto fights because I
It is
want
what it
to
is.
compare to these other series.
It is what it is.
Moving this down,
It is what it is. Naruto's goated.
I'm sorry. Anyway,
Yeah,
this is another
sorry.
instance in this video.
Naruto's just goated like that.
I don't even know where to begin. Basically, everything about this fight is perfect. There's so much to say about it. Like, first of all, this is basically the finale of the first half of Shippuden, and it does an excellent job at it. Kishimoto placed a lot of focus on the Akatsuki as a group throughout this point of the story. So, Naruto fighting against the person who everybody believes to be his leader is a natural conclusion to that setup. We've got all these different plot threads converging and being paid off at once in this fight, and it makes for a really satisfying experience. The fact that there are multiple core characters who died to get the information that leads to Naruto's survival and eventual victory here into his hands adds so much weight to this. This is also Naruto's ultimate opportunity to prove himself the way he's always wanted to. He's the last line of defense for the Hidden Leaf against Pain, and he gets an entrance that conveys that. This is still talked about as one of the all-time greatest entrances made by an anime character, and it's only one of many iconic moments from this fight. You've also got Naruto one-shotting one of the paths of Pain to save Tsunade. Pain's iconic cycle of hatred speech, Hinata's declaration of love to Naruto, Naruto's transformation into the Six Tails, Pain's Chibaku Tensei, Naruto meeting his father for the first time, the Rasengan that ends the whole thing. Like, with a lineup of set pieces like that from this fight, what more could you ask for?
That's real.
Number 3.
Naruto.
Ichigo
Never mind.
versus Byakuya.
This was a great fight.
This was the fight that sold me.
This was a good fight.
Don't get me wrong.
I agree.
really liked him for the first 150-ish chapters of the story. But ever since I read this
When he fought
fight,
Byakuya, I was like,
top of the list of my
oh
favorite
yeah, okay.
and even
This shit gets
closer to the
serious.
list of my favorite shonen protagonists. This is, of course, thanks to a lot of what he does in this fight, like making one of the best entrances in all of Bleach and showing.
I love this outfit he had on, too.
In the process, offering up some of the best trash talk in the series, and backing it up with one of his best performances. But it's not all thanks to him. A big part of why he clicks with me so well in this fight is his opponent, Byakuya. Byakuya is both portrayed in and implemented into this arc perfectly. I can think of no better final boss for Ichigo than Byakuya, even setting aside the fact that he's the one who kidnapped Rukia and plans to execute her. He's such a well-constructed depiction of a captain-class soul reaver, this immovable obstacle, one that feels impossible to overcome, placed at the end of Ichigo's journey to rescue his friend Rukia. Byakuya feels so imposing, so overwhelmingly powerful, that I think it makes Ichigo's eventual victory against him the most satisfying and triumphant one in all of Bleach. The fight is also littered with some of Kubo's best bits of artwork and visual storytelling.
Kubo is so good at art, bro.
That he's mastered Bankai. The double-page spread reveal of Senkei Senbon Sakura Kageyoshi, Ichigo holofying and suppressing the transformation through sheer force of will, the final clash at the end of Byakuya's surrender, all these moments and more are things I haven't been able to stop thinking about since I first read this series. Number 2. Naruto
I knew it.
versus Sasuke
Naruto.
at the end of Shippuden.
Got you.
No discussion
Ooh,
of the
yeah.
best fights in the big three,
Yeah.
or even anime in general.
That's
This
fair.
complete
This shit
domination
hits.
of this one.
The end of Shippuden fight?
Crown
Fuck.
jewel of Shippuden. Basically what that entire section of the story was building toward, and easily its most telegraphed, anticipated fight as
God
a
damn,
result.
it was
The
so
series
good.
was never going to end any other way. Kishimoto himself even said that this was what he always pictured as the final fight of Naruto, something that he planned way in advance and kind of constructed the series around, and it was all worth it. This fight meets the lofty expectations the series set for it, and then just keeps going past them, especially in the anime. The choreography and animation here are unbelievable. In both cases, it's the best in Shippuden. No other fight looks this good or flows this well. The fight also displays so much respect for everything that led up to it. I can't think of a better place than the Final Valley for these two to have their rematch, and they pull out like every major ability they've shown throughout the series against each other here. It's really satisfying as a longtime fan to see all these jutsu make an appearance here. So many of the most well-directed, well-cut bits of animation are in this fight, including the final clash between Sasuke's Chidori and Naruto's Rasengan, which I think is the perfect climax to the whole thing. Finally, there are few things in any of these series that have moved me close to as much as Naruto finally getting through to Sasuke, triggering both a change of heart and an admission of defeat. This was a long time coming, and seeing it happen was one of the most cathartic media experiences I've ever had.
Took him a while, but he made it. He did it.
Number 1.
Uh-oh.
Naruto versus Sasuke at the end of part 1.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, this is the kid fight when they were kids.
Naruto and my favorite fight in the big three. It's a contender
This is
for
a great
my
fight.
favorite anime fight, period, even though I don't see people talk about it as much as its Shippuden counterpart. I think both of the Final Valley fights are neck and neck, but I've always had a slight preference for this one because I feel it's more intense and the outcome is way less predictable. Sasuke
True.
actually defecting from the village and joining
This was Sasuke actually being like, no, I want to leave.
Stopping is a curveball I never expected. It's also an event that defines basically all of Shippuden. Naruto's primary goal changes from becoming Hokage to rescuing Sasuke and bringing him back to the Hidden Leaf. And things basically stay that way until the series ends with Naruto finally doing it. So it's a contender for the most important fight in the series. And I think it helps that while maybe the animation isn't quite as good, the choreography is just as good as the Shippuden Final Valley fight, and might, honestly, if you ask me, be a little bit better. This fight is full of insane exchanges, a lot of them purely hand-to-hand. Crazy stuff, like Naruto's clone ladder and Sasuke's Izuna drop.
Man, that clone ladder got Sasuke
It's all
fucked up.
flavored by some beautiful dialogue. It really lets
That
you
clone
keep
ladder
going.
did some damage to Sasuke. He's scared of that. I'm not gonna lie. He gotta be. I would be too.
It's also true that these guys have a heated rivalry and both just want to beat each other up for other reasons too. Watching them try to prove themselves to one another is a lot of fun, even despite how high the stakes are, and it leads to some really excellent pieces of characterization, like Naruto scratching Sasuke's headband because Sasuke assured him he wouldn't be able to, instead of going for an attack that might have actually helped him win the fight. We also get a lot of cool world building out of this fight too, like our first look at the final valley and the people who created it, Madara and Hashirama, a far more complete look into Sasuke's past than anything the series had shown us before this point. Our first look at Naruto's Nine Tails cloak, which we see later on as a staple ability for other Jinchuriki, and our first look at Sasuke's second state curse mark form. The way it ends is just beautiful too. You got this iconic clash between the Rasengan and the Chidori, followed by Sasuke standing over Naruto in the pouring rain, wondering if he really wants to kill his best friend or not, and eventually deciding against it because he doesn't want to use Itachi's own power to kill him. It's a perfect fight and a perfect ending to part 1 of Naruto. One that I can say, without any hesitation, is my favorite fight on this list.
Fire. There you go.
Well, that was a fun 6.5 hours. If you're here and you made it all the way to the end of the video, thank you. Seriously, this took forever to make.
I totally watched the whole video and then
While
skipped.
you're here, let me know in the comments what I got right, what I got wrong, and if you want to make your own version of this list.
Alright, chat. That's all I got in me today. I'll see you guys later. Let me know what you guys thinking in the comments. Comments. Make comments. Talk to me. Please. Chat. I'll see you guys later.